Anchors upsells at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right, Jared. How are you doing today?
I have no voice. I had even less of a voice yesterday. I'm at like 40% voice right now. So, maybe carry some extra time this episode. See if I can't make it all the way through.
All right. We'll do another Collegiate Chaos episode here. A little bit different than our typical one, just because there's no football games this weekend. I just had to think to myself, no, there is.
If there is, they're not worth watching.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think if it was the Army-Navy games this weekend, or I think it is the Army-Navy is this weekend.
It is this weekend. Yes, it is.
But we're not going to spend 30 minutes talking about the Army-Navy game, though.
We are not.
So let's go ahead and look at last weekend. Well, really, I think it's more just the playoffs here. The playoff is set here. The 12 teams are set. Ohio State, the number 2. I think that's where they should be, but I was honestly a little surprised that they were at number 2 based on the history of what I've heard from the playoff committee, where they always like the conference champions weight is a lot more in years past, and I really thought that they might have dropped to 3, maybe 4, with both Georgia and Texas Tech, both with 1 loss, and conference champions might have bumped up against Ohio State, but I think they did it right, with Ohio State's 1 loss being just a 3-point loss in the conference championship game. Shouldn't really punish them for that close of a loss in the conference championship game.
There seemed to be a very specific push this year about quote unquote not punishing teams who lose in their conference championship games. I think this push is coming from the conference commissioners wanting to make sure that the being in the conference championship games remain a good thing, which is why Alabama remained in the playoffs, even though they probably shouldn't have. And Ohio State remained it too, even though they probably should have. I think this would have been a better playoff with Notre Dame in instead of Alabama. And while I agree that if you lose your conference championship game by, 3 points, you shouldn't be punished for that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be.
Completely agree.
Like, Alabama shouldn't be punished simply for quote unquote losing a 3rd game.
But they lost by 21 points, though.
I was getting there.
Okay, well, I'm trying to save your voice there, Jared. So.
Oh, well, no, that's appreciated. That's appreciated. Yeah, I mean, but that's the point. You shouldn't losing your conference championship game. I agree with this sentiment that is very popular and was being floated around a lot the past couple of weeks. You quote unquote shouldn't be punished for losing your conference championship game. And broadly, I agree. However, if you're Alabama or if you're BYU and you get demolished, if you are non-competitive in your conference championship game, well, that should probably be something else entirely altogether. That's not that you lost. That proved that you are not capable of hanging with the big boys. BYU paid that price. Alabama didn't. Because laundry matters, because brands matter.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly.
Yep. But all right, let's look into this real quick here, Jared. I think the interesting thing is, I agree. Kind of go back to what you were talking about. Alabama getting in, Notre Dame not making the playoffs, even though they're ranked higher.
Would have made for a more colorful bracket. Red is overrepresenting in the playoff field.
Yeah, half of them. Yeah, half of the
more than half.
Well, I guess if you take Texas A&M, Texas A&M is a pretty dark red.
It's still red.
Right.
I didn't
so
say
that's
scarlet.
That's 7 then. That's 7 then. And then if you want to, I guess Ole Miss.
Yes, they're red and blue.
I thought they were more blue and red.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Jared, it hasn't been 7 minutes yet.
7? When did it become 7?
I don't know. Sure, yeah, more colorful, but I thought it was interesting. I think Notre Dame has been playing so much better the second half of this season, and I think if you want to get the 12 best teams, if you really want to try to get the 12 best teams, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this here, but
yeah,
get the 12 best teams then. Don't get the James Madison, the Tulanes in there.
I want James Madison and Tulane in there. I do. Now, do I want both of them in there? No, but you can just blame the ACC for that. You can blame the ACC for both of them getting in.
Well, the ACC got in. The ACC got
not their
Miami
champion.
in.
Not their champion.
Not their champion. No.
I do want the conference. I do want conference champions. 5 of them auto subbed. And by the way, if you auto selected, and my thing is that one, just the opportunity for a Cinderella story is so good. It's just so good that I absolutely want that to be there. But 2, like we already did this with the lawyers as far as antitrust stuff back in the BCS days.
Mm-hmm.
The NCAA is still facing antitrust issues. They weren't going to kick the hornet's nest by not leaving an avenue open for teams outside the Power Four to get in.
Sure. All right, let's leave it how you were saying with the top 5 conference champions.
Austin says if Tulane beats Ole Miss, then goes on and takes down Georgia as the story of the year. Austin, that's the story of college football.
Yeah.
That dwarfs Appy State because it's 2 in a row. That dwarfs Appy State against Michigan. That dwarfs Boise beating Oklahoma, which was a great story and everything, but Oklahoma didn't want to be there and Boise did. Like, we all know that. In the playoffs, it's
almost kind of like, oh, what was that?
It would be like Rudy, except it actually happened.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say there was it was just a few years ago. I know it's basketball, not football, but there was in the March Madness there was a team that was like Loyola, but it wasn't Loyola though. There was another team just recently, just a couple years ago, where they made a deep run.
FAU. Basketball's
no, it was Saint Peter's just a couple years ago. They were a 15 seed and they reached the Elite 8. Like it would be like that kind of story.
Honestly, not even, because basketball is just a different sport. There's only 5 guys on the court. It's not the same.
Yeah. All right. Going back. So I can agree with the 5 getting the 5 conference champions, but they need to reseed in the quarterfinals then.
Yeah. The NFL does it. I think most major sports do it. Reseed after each round. Absolutely. The 12-team college football playoff will never be the Final Four. People aren't going to go filling out their brackets and creating office pools. It's never going to happen. Reseed. reseed after each round. It only makes sense. Additionally, how is there an 11 and 12 seed with zero the seeding doesn't make sense to me at all. Because, like, if you're Indiana or Ohio State, you have no opportunity to face either James Madison or Tulane, which is exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about how, oh man, we were kind of expecting Ohio State to fall to third. Yeah, we really were kind of expecting Ohio State to fall to third. Hell, wish they would have. I would rather face Tulane or Ole Miss than either Miami or Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M's one of the best. I think Texas A&M's probably the fourth or fifth best team in the playoffs. I could almost make the case that they're the third.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe the third or fourth best. But either way, Ohio State moving forward. Ohio State will be playing in the Cotton Bowl again. New Year's Eve, 7:30 kickoff. And they, just like Jared said, they play the winner of Miami and Texas A&M. And this is interesting too. Every SEC team, minus Alabama because they play an SEC team, have a home game. Oklahoma's a home game. Ole Miss is a home game. Texas A&M's a home game.
Okay.
Just kind of interesting. It just I guess how the dominoes fell.
Also, Georgia doesn't.
Sure. Yeah.
So every Big Ten team either has a bye or a home game as well. Same. You say the same thing about the Big Ten.
Okay. James Madison, Oregon is the first matchup here. I know the big Cinderella story. James Madison didn't look all that great to start off with in their conference championship game. But what's your early thoughts about that matchup, though? My thought is I think Oregon is just too big, too fast, and I just don't think James Madison would be able to keep up with Oregon.
If you're looking for a Cinderella, even if it's a one-game Cinderella, look at the other game.
Yeah, I
think Tulane is better than James Madison first and foremost, and I think Ole Miss is worse. And I would have than Oregon, and I would have said that even without the coaching trauma that Ole Miss is currently undergoing.
Yeah. Yep. I think that game of the opening of the first round, I think that's going to be the
and it's not
the
even
game
close,
that's going to be. Yeah, it's not going to be a close game. I think that's going to be the game of the four that's going to be the biggest blowout. Alabama and Oklahoma play each other again here. Oklahoma came out with a victory earlier in the year here. Back playing in Norman, Oklahoma again. Can they make it two in a row? We've always said it's tough beating the same team twice in a season. Does Alabama have some magic left to
Kyle, you didn't hear DeBoer's going to take over the Michigan job.
Yeah. Just like every other opening. Just
right.
like the Penn State one, just like other ones too.
Yeah, I also hear Urban Meyer is going to be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
The Michigan head coaching story has been breaking the past couple hours in our timeline as we record this, and has potentially taken a dark turn of sorts. So we're not going to talk about it because we just don't have the all the information and don't want to say anything regrettable.
Yep. So the Alabama-Oklahoma game, I think that might be the closest game of the four here. I think it might be a defensive struggle. It might be the lowest scoring game in the opening round.
I think that depends upon which Miami shows up.
Sure.
But I tend to agree. I tend to agree. Miami is just so inconsistent. You might get a tremendous Miami game, and they might threaten A&M.
Yeah. I mean, do
But
you get
they
a
also might
do you
not.
get a good do you get a good Carson Beck who goes out there
That's
and
honestly
throws
what it.
4 touchdowns, or do you get the Carson Beck who throws 4 interceptions?
Honestly, Kyle, nail on the head, because that's exactly what it is. You might get a good Miami or a bad Miami actually means, are you getting 4 touchdowns or 4 interceptions from Carson Beck? That's what that actually means.
Yeah. Ole Miss and Tulane. I think what Jared said earlier. I think this is going to be potentially your Cinderella story here.
It's more likely than the other one. I wouldn't say it's likely though. But I'd say it's more likely than James Madison beating Oregon. It's much more likely, but that doesn't mean it's likely.
Yeah, I was just looking at the opening spread at 17.5 in favor of Ole Miss. Yeah, I'd take Tulane to cover that. Absolutely.
What's the James Madison?
21.5.
Yeah,
which I think that's right.
But it's a whole touchdown difference.
Almost, yeah,
Close enough.
half a touchdown.
Well, since we're talking about it, what are the other two?
All right. The Alabama-Oklahoma game. Alabama is a 1.5 point favorite.
That's okay. If I'm throwing money down, that's where my money's going.
Yeah. And then the last one here. Aggies are a 3.5 point favorite.
Miami / Carson Beck are so inconsistent. That's just hard.
Yep.
Because Miami could win that game. They could also lose it by 35 points. Like I feel like both are very possible.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying I because I don't. I mean, I always don't real life gamble, ha ha ha. But like, honestly, don't. I honestly don't. I'm not telling anyone else what to do with their lives, but I honestly don't. But if I were to, Oklahoma as the slightest of dogs would be where I'd go.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. All right. We're going to talk more about the playoffs here, but we're going to go ahead and take our first ad break real quick. Head on over to thesloopcast.com, where you can find everything and anything Sloopcast related. There you can find our Discord page, discord.thesloopcast.com. Now is a great time to join our chat server. Again, discord.thesloopcast.com. Always talking about Ohio State football. The NFL playoffs are around. I know there's some NFL fans that's been talking in there. Basketball season's coming around. So got a chat going on in there too, and many other different topics over at our Discord server at discord.thesloopcast.com. You can find that and many more links over at thesloopcast.com. Go ahead and take an ad break, and we will be right back.
All right. How much? How do I want to phrase this? How much do you like Ohio State's chances? This is an Ohio State centric podcast. Let's start there.
I mean, last time they lost 13-10, it worked pretty well for them.
Oh, okay.
I'll get that joke out. I'll get that joke out of me right now. So, I mean, I think Ohio State's fine. I think they're fine. They had a bad offensive game, and going to look at the tape, see what they need to do, and no more screwing around. It's put everything on the table and go at it. You got. Thankfully, they have.
Are you Ryan Day? That
yes.
was such a coach answer. We're going to review the tape. We're going to see what we did right. We're going to see what we did wrong, and we're going to try and learn from our mistakes. And
The one thing I really, and maybe this is just because of Ohio State struggling to protect not Ryan, wow, Julian Sand. It did a lot of 3 tight end sets, and that just played to Indiana there, where they're like, we just have to watch one receiver instead of watching 2 stud wide receivers. Then and that just really helped Indiana defensively too. So I hope Ohio State learns from that, and if they play to their strengths, and that's getting both of their stud receivers on the field the vast majority of the time, and maybe move around some of your offensive linemen. I'll just leave it at that. I think Ohio State has a pretty good shot. I'd say, honestly, I would say 33% chance. I say 33% chance I would put towards Ohio State to win it all.
Austin said 28 down in the chat. And for the record, those are both, like, you take those numbers. Like, at any point in the season, aside maybe from being in the national championship game itself, like, those are numbers you take. A 1 in 4, 1 in 3 chance of winning a national title is huge. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The best programs in the country, aside from maybe Alabama, but the best programs in the country get 1 national title every 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say to yourself, Georgia just won back-to-back titles. Okay, that's the first one they won since the early 80s. They're making up for lost time. 1 national title every 10 years is a tremendous ratio. So if at any point in the season you have a 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 chance of winning a national title, that's tremendous. Again, except maybe the actual national championship game itself. But those are tremendous odds. You take those every day. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a little high. I think I'm a little lower than both of you, but a little lower. I'm more like 20%. I think Ohio State has about a 20% chance of winning the national title. But by the way, that's still tremendous. That's still tremendous, because I wouldn't give any other one team 20%. Now, that does mean that Ohio State only wins 1 out of every 5 times, but I'm not giving anyone else those odds.
I just think that's just how talented and how great Ohio State has been all year, and that's the reason. Yes, they had 1 bad offensive game against Indiana.
Does that add up to 100, Austin? Go ahead, Kyle.
And everybody's all of a sudden like down on Ohio State, like, oh my gosh, they're terrible. They're not gonna be able to win it all. Like just let's sit back in our chairs just for a moment here, and let's just look at how great Ohio State has been, how consistent they've been. And it was 1 game. Yeah, it sucks. It was the conference championship. Yeah, that sucks. I would love to hang a banner, put an additional number, put another number on the Big Ten championships on the board there. But I mean, 1 game out of the 12 games. Yeah, I like Ohio State's odds. I really do.
Austin tossed this down in the chat, Kyle. This is just him pulling this out of his butt, but you and I weren't going to try and do this math live on the podcast, so I'm glad he did it. Mm-hmm. He says Ohio State 28%, Indiana 19%, Georgia 14%, Texas Tech 11%, Oregon 10%, Texas A&M 7%, Alabama 5%, Miami 4%, Ole Miss 2%, Tulane and James Madison at 0%. If we're rounding up to whole numbers, I would agree Tulane and James Madison are at 0. I would give them like a decimal point, but we're not going to do that. Nope, we're not going to that effort. I I think Ohio State's high. Again, I think it's more like 20%. Indiana's, I think that's about right at 19. I think Georgia, sure, it's technically less than 1%. Yeah. I think Georgia's a little bit higher. I think Texas Tech's a little bit higher. I think Texas A&M's a little bit higher. I think Oregon's maybe a tad bit lower.
I mean, I agree with you, Austin. I think Ohio State is best odds, followed by Indiana, then Georgia, and then Texas Tech. I will love watching that Texas Tech Oregon game on New Year's Day at noon. I think that would be a tremendous game to watch if Oregon wins their opening round.
They will. Oregon will win.
I know.
I'll say it. I think Oregon beats Texas Tech. I think Oregon can beat Texas Tech.
I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, no. I understand. Either team can win that game. They're both very good teams. I personally think Texas Tech wins in like game 6. If it's a game, that's how I feel about that. I think if it's a 7-game series, I think Texas Tech in 6. I take Indiana over either Bama or Oklahoma. Now, once
I would agree with that.
That doesn't mean that they absolutely will win.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama and Oklahoma both have very talented teams. Blah, 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 blah. But I do like Indiana over either of them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just have this hunch that I think Alabama is going to get the better end of beating Oklahoma in the opening round there, because Alabama's offense has done a lot better. Now, Oklahoma's defense has been really, really good. Like, if I'm looking at their numbers, they're very, very good. But yeah, well, I just have this hunch. I think Alabama is on the right track as of late. And yeah, it's just this hunch. I think Alabama maybe that win that week 1, and then Indiana's going to have to go up against another really talented defense here, and in a very tough offense who's been giving other teams troubles as well. So I think Indiana might have the toughest of the quarterfinals if I'm looking at this. Potentially.
I mean, if they don't have an easy route either way, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I don't. But I think of all of the teams all of the teams not getting the buys, I like Oregon and Texas A&M the most as like potentially winning it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at. And Indiana doesn't have to play either of them. So that's good. That being said, they don't have the opportunity. Georgia has it easiest. I think we all agree on that.
Yes, Georgia does.
That's why it should reseed. That is absolutely why it should reseed. It should absolutely
100%.
reseed. We said last year that the 2 changes they needed to make was to get rid of the conference champion auto buy, which they did. Good on them for making that change, and that they need to reseed after every round. They got halfway there. They should keep doing. They should keep making improvements. But to me, Texas Tech and Ohio State, I'd say Ohio State has it the worst, honestly. Because I think Texas A&M is a tremendous football team. The only real out Ohio State gets is the opportunity to maybe play Miami instead, which I don't think is likely. I think Texas A&M should win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Miami is a bad matchup for us. I don't agree. I'm not afraid. I'll be cheering for Miami so hard. Miami typically only has about 35 fans on Saturday. They will have 36 because I will be a Miami fan. Now, I believe you both said that Indiana should hope to play Alabama. I think Austin said that, Kyle. Is that what you said as well?
No, I said I think Alabama would win.
Who do you think Indiana prefers?
I mean, if I'm looking at this, honestly, I'd say Oklahoma. I honestly would think they would prefer to go up against Oklahoma. Just looking at Oklahoma's defense is, if you look at the stats and all that, really, really good. But offensively, it's kind of mid. They're mid when it comes to offensively, and if you're not going to be able to move the ball against Indiana, and we saw how great their defensive line is, and being able to get the pressure and stopping the run, like how is Oklahoma going to move the ball and move the ball on Indiana and get the field position? So I like I think if I was Indiana, I would want Oklahoma over Alabama.
Austin disagrees with you, but I agree with you because, in my opinion, Alabama's a more dangerous matchup for Indiana because Alabama has more talent than Indiana. Now, did that help Ohio State last Saturday? No, it didn't. But Indiana is just better Oklahoma. Like everything Oklahoma does, Indiana does, but Indiana does it better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with better quarterback and wide receivers. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, Indiana is everything Oklahoma hopes to be. The ideal form, the final form of this Oklahoma team is Indiana, and they're not at it. Alabama has a lot of holes, but where they're good, they're great. Yeah. Which could potentially cause matchup issues for Indiana. I think they're just across the board better than Oklahoma.
Wow. I know just out of left field here, though, just looking at the numbers here, Jared, Oklahoma, when they get into the red zone, they always score. They are 100% in the red zone offensively. Just interesting. You never see that.
No, you don't. Show that to
Ryan Day.
All right, Kyle. Was there anything else you wanted to address this episode, or is there anything else about the playoffs you want to address?
No, I think that's really it on the playoffs there. I think overall the committee got it right. Other than I still think Notre Dame should have gotten it in there somehow, whether it was going ahead of Miami or Alabama being out.
I don't agree they should have been in over Miami. I do agree that they could have been, maybe even should have been in over Alabama.
Yeah, but I think this would be. Yeah, I think this would be a really, really fun playoffs to watch here, just because you get some really good defensive teams here that I'm looking at here. I think this will be fun. So that ends our Sloop picks as well, Jared, for the season. We have a new winner this year. Our homie Suncard won it all in our pick'ems this year.
He's won them before, hasn't he?
He has.
Yeah.
He has. But Cousin Jay's been winning them as of recent.
Dinger's won a few times as well.
Yeah. But I was right there. I wasn't too far I wasn't too far behind them, but I ended up getting second overall too, which I was really happy compared to past years I've done as a group here too.
You also won 3 individual weeks.
I did, yes, including last week the championship week.
Yeah.
I got 4 of those. Um, yeah, I think that was it. I think that was it here. You got anything else? Anything else you want to bring up before we end the episode, Jared?
Um, I don't think so. Um, I did briefly mention Sharon Moore fired at Michigan. This is pretty much a breaking story as we're recording this, so we're not going to get into it. But we're already seeing a lot of players getting released from their um, intent letters from places like Iowa State, where their head coach recently left. A lot of those guys will be probably making the jump over to Penn State to follow their coach. So that makes sense, especially considering Penn State had a recruiting class of, was it one eventually, Kyle?
Yeah, of the verbal commits they had, yeah, just one. But then they ended up
Who
getting
signed?
a
Did they get a second
go ahead and
signee?
talk.
Okay. Well, they got a second signee, and there have been at least 2 that I've seen players decommitting from Iowa State. And if you don't know, Penn State has hired Iowa State's head coach. And the assumption is that those players decommitting from Iowa State will be making the jump over to Pennsylvania. But that's not confirmed, but that does seem like what's probably happening. So that should be a few more players to add to Penn State's roster.
Yeah, they had 2. They have currently, as we're recording, just 2 signed. Jackson Ford was the lone one that was a verbal commit that stayed and did sign, and then they did get a flip from, I believe he was going to go to Auburn, I believe, but ended up signing to Penn State, the quarterback, Peyton Falzone.
Yeah, obviously Franklin was fired pretty early in the season. That recruiting class totally fell apart as a result.
Yeah.
A lot of those players ended up decommitting from Penn State, then committing to Virginia Tech.
Most of them, yeah.
I don't know about most, but a lot. So now we're seeing Iowa State players. So far, only 2 that I've seen, but both of them happened today. So there could be more who are getting released from their letters of intent and are rumored to be going to Penn State. So we're seeing the coach ripple effect here. And now with Sharon Moore out, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Penn State's recruiting class, if those players get released from their letters of intent, and where they could end up, and could they end up in Penn State to lift up that very barren recruiting class. And that's, also to say what's going to happen to the players currently at Michigan on the roster.
Yeah.
Michigan needs to move quickly on a replacement. Otherwise, those players are going to start hitting the portal very quickly, in my opinion. And not only that, and I'm not even saying this as like a hater. I'm not saying this as a hater. This is cold analysis. This is cold, no fandom, no hatred involved in this whatsoever. Cold-hearted analysis of the situation. They need to clear out that coaching room. They need a whole new staff at Michigan. They've had multiple coaches arrested, multiple coaches fired for misconduct.
A lot. Yeah. Well, Jared's coughing real quick there. So, like, looking at like staffers that have been arrested since Harbaugh was hired. It's like 7 or 8 coaches. Like it's a lot.
Not all countable coaches, for the record, and some of them were down the staff. Gosh, sorry about that. But yeah, they need to turn over that coaching staff. You have guys committing computer crimes. You have guys, that obviously the entire sign stealing scandal. It feels very rotten up in Ann Arbor. Harbaugh, I don't know if he's a bad judge of character. I don't know if it was that no one was being managed or observed, watched. I don't know if in an effort to turn things around at Michigan, he started taking on riskier hires. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I have all the answers to that. But Michigan needs to clean house. And I said of the football program, but probably of probably of a few people in the athletic department, management as well, including the athletic director. It's been an embarrassing shit show in Ann Arbor ever since even before they won the national title. And again, I'm not even saying this as like an Ohio State fan who's hating. I'm honestly not. It's been an embarrassment up there as far as just scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. They need to make some wholesale changes up there.
Completely agree.
Or don't and continue embarrassing yourselves. There's the hater talking. The hater came out at the end there.
There you go.
Just keep embarrassing yourselves. Keep turning over your coaches. Yeah. Keep embarrassing yourselves. Keep getting in the newspaper for the wrong reasons. Keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Good news, Jared. Yes. Good news.
Is this Kyle's corner?
Good news. Yeah. Ohio State.
So Kyle, what's in Kyle's corner?
Yeah. Ohio State football program set a new program record. 61 Ohio State football players earned academic all Big Ten honors.
Wow.
61 of them. Including Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Julian Sand, Caleb Downs, and others too. So
excellent.
Yeah, that's excellent news. Really happy to see them excelling in and out of the classroom.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think it's going to be a little different with the next couple of episodes here. We may do some little off topics here as kind of in between the championship week, conference championship week, and then the upcoming playoffs here. So we'll just stay tuned for some little different episodes here.
Yeah. If you want updates on when episodes are coming and what the topics will be ahead of time, join the Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. Tonight's ending music was brought to you by the Sidekicks. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, these are the Sidekicks.